Do any of you have any feelings, emotional or otherwise, in terms of attachment to the name, the Big Sooie, the hour of our program that is called the Big Sooie? I don't know if anyone here knows the complicated history of the name, the Big Sooie, but we are changing it today. We are retiring the Big Sooie, and it is going to become simply the cleverly named Hour One.
Oh, it's good.
It's going to become Hour One.
But wait a second, Hour One is Hour One.
No, now Hour One is going to be Hour Two.
What's Hour Two named?
No, technically Hour One is a local hour. That's the first hour we do.
No, the local hour is the local hour. That's the first hour. Then there's Hour One, which is the second hour.
So Hour One used to really be Hour Two.
Hour One
used to be Hour Three.
Hour One has always been Hour Three since the Big Sooie was in place, but now we're getting rid of the Big Sooie. It is retiring. Do any of you have an emotional attachment to the name Big Sooie? Because I'm curious whether Mike even remembers what the backstory was on what we were trying to do.
Why wouldn't I remember the backstory? I was in the middle of that.
Do you remember?
Yes.
What,
I remember that whole nightmare.
Okay, you want to tell people what we were trying to do?
Yeah, ESPN took an hour. There was like the middle of the end with us at ESPN, and this is when they kept doing things. They kept doing things that felt like it was just like shot after shot. Like they took us off of ESPN 2 or ESPN News, and they put us behind the paywall. And then they decided to remove an hour from our national show, and we didn't want to remove an hour from our show or our audience, so we decided to, in the wake of their decision to remove an hour from our show, do an entirely additional hour, which is something we had already done with the local hour. The local hour was ripped away from us on 790, and those partners didn't keep us in the loop. So we had already flirted with the concept of doing an additional digital hour just for our audience, and we said, let's just keep it going. So we devised the Big Sooie.
Mike is giving you a whole bunch of context that isn't any of what I was thinking of. And it's also not anything I knew. I don't remember any of that. I remember that we named it the Big Sooie because we eventually wanted it to just be the initials BSPN. And we wanted to just be hiding in plain sight as we were feuding with ESPN. And all I remember was that the name was going to be BSPN. But then I was told long after we created the imaging and everything else for that, oh, Bill Simmons has already done that because his initials are BS. So
yeah, we told Dan that pretty early, but he was still on this BSPN train. And we're like, you're just going to have to settle for it being BS.
Yeah, and it was all BS, and now it's retired. And now I'm glad we clarified this.
I taught you something.
Now it's Hour One, okay? So it's local hours, not Hour One. That's the local hour.
Yeah, that is so funny that all you remember is BSPN because you were like a dog with a bone on that. That's all you wanted. Meanwhile, I'm just like in the foxhole, like giving way too much information.
So Hour One is local hour. Hour Two is Hour One.
No. Local hour is local hour. Hour One is the new Big Sooie.
Nice. Purdue was a number 1 seed as
Kirk Cousins look like J.C. Penney.
Looks like it's back, Jack. It's bracket time, so make a chart. Does Jeff Van Gundy look just like the Queen of Hearts? Does Adam Silver look like a torpedo bat? Let's get March Sadness back on track. Looks like it's back, Jack. When the donuts are in front of you, does Andy Reid say, don't mind if I do? Adam Silver looks like a Q-tip thing, or frying a bag of onion rings. When Timmy laughs until he has, that's how you know that looks like his back, Jack. Let me hear you say, looks like his back, Jack. Let's keep on doing it every year. So Ed Burke says, Mr. Bond, welcome to Tangier. Jeff Fisher looks like shotgunning beers at a NASCAR track. If you say this game's the best, I'll say the gag. Looks like his back, Jack.
Northwestern is gone from the tournament.
Jim Harbaugh looks like a casket salesman.
Fairleigh Dickinson, 16 seed, rep by
Mike McDaniel looked like a college student on a full ride scholarship for esports.
What a run.
Looks like his bag, Jack.
have a bit of an odd problem on my hands for this time of year in April, which is we've got way too much to get to today. There is too much video, too much audio. We've got a women's championship being decided over the weekend. Two of the most famous coaches not even involved in the championship game almost got into a fight in which Dawn Staley was threatening to kick Geno Auriemma's ass. We've got the national championship on the men's side being decided today. We have, from minor league baseball, something that has supplanted what I believe to be the best play in baseball history. I maintain that the greatest play in the history of baseball is a home run going off of the head of Jose Canseco. I think the mathematical odds of that kind of clumsiness didn't have any precedent to that point in the history of either baseball or video. For that to be the player who that happened to, a fly ball that shouldn't have even been a double becoming a home run because it hit him on the top of the head, I thought was the greatest play in baseball history. But now we have another here. Is this minor league baseball or college baseball?
College baseball.
So this is college baseball. This is 10 feet in front of the warning track. 10 feet in front of the warning track. It seems like the ball hits the center fielder in the forehead and goes over the wall. That seems, as a physics experiment, that seems impossible. And if they tried to do that, if they went out there and attempted to do that again, they could try it for the rest of the time, and it would never happen that way again.
This is actually a treat for the audio audience because the play-by-play does work. Hit it.
To right center field. It's going to hang up, and it is off the head of the center fielder. That's going to be a ground rule double. No, it's a home run. It's a home run for Tene Vijas. Oh, my. It hit the head of the center fielder.
How
and
good.
Fell so far, it went over the wall in right center field. And the umpire, I thought he was going to call it a ground rule double. He indicates home run.
So
He was calling
I need to do this again just so that people understand what happened here, because it wasn't even the best play in baseball this weekend. I'm going to get to that in a second. So just to clarify, the greatest play in baseball history has been supplanted by the play we're just showing you right now, and it wasn't the greatest play this weekend, okay? But in the play-by-play that you guys just heard, because you heard it correctly if you weren't watching the video, the center fielder in center field on a routine fly ball to center field, the ball goes over the fence in right center field.
It's not a small wall.
He's in center field, and the ball goes over. It's impossible for a ball to hit like that. That has to hurt so much, and no one feels better than the guy who hit a routine fly out to center field, and now he's jogging around the bases because the umpire is giving him the home run call.
I'm sorry. Why is that a home run? The play-by-play guy's right. How is that not a ground rule double? It hit something.
It didn't hit the ground. The thing it hit
something in
wasn't
the field of
ground.
play.
It can't be a ground rule double if it doesn't hit the ground.
It hit something in the field of play.
But it's not the ground.
Not a player rule double.
I
It's
don't.
not a forehead rule double.
You don't know the rules. That's just.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
But before I go any further on this, because I really can't believe what happened in an Anaheim Angels game. And I've been telling you guys for years, do you not think it is weird that every damn week there's an outfielder stealing a home run in the big leagues? Every single week in the big leagues for several years now, somebody's reaching over the fence and stealing a home run ball.
This isn't exactly San Diego Chargers zone, but they have been the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim for 15 years.
Okay, thank you for that. But if it happens to the Angels, I believe it gets to us 15 years late. I believe people aren't celebrating what it is that we just saw this weekend.
Remember they used to be the California Angels?
They should bring that back, Jack.
Nah, I don't remember that.
The whole state. California Angels.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. If it happened to the Angels, does it take 15 years to get to the rest of us? But I want to talk about Joe Adell because I'm trying to think in the history of sports what anyone regards as the greatest defensive thing they've ever seen. locally in town, the greatest defensive players we have had are Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas. Perhaps you think of Alex Gonzalez
Bruce Bowen.
or
Hassan Whiteside.
Triple
Doing it with blocks.
triple doubles with blocks would qualify. Alonzo Mourning. Who do you think of when you think of defensive play? Because it's
should
hard.
be Barkov.
I think the greatest defensive play is Pudge. I got the effing ball right here.
That's a great shout.
That's the greatest defensive play in Miami sports history.
Yeah.
I have the effing ball right here.
I mean, Bosch had a big block in the playoffs, but best defensive player has to be Barkov. That's first ballot.
More so than Bobrovsky because
Yes, because Bobrovsky, during his time with the Panthers, was never considered the best doing
That's
it.
fair. That's fair.
Barkov, you ask anybody up and down, this is the best defensive center.
And so defensively, it is hard to celebrate things. But Joe Adele, and please, this reminds me, it's been 11 years since this magical clip right here.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
It's been that long? 11 years?
Yeah, not as long as the Angels have been the Los Angeles Angels.
They used to be California.
Yeah.
What was he trying to say? Adina Menzel is what he was trying to say. Play that.
Who cares?
Play that again. Play that again, please.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
It's great. It's John Travolta at an award ceremony being handed a card that spells phonetically, and he's not a good reader.
You're going to love this, Dan. This is a rough look for me. In 2016, they dropped the of Anaheim.
Give me now the shortened version so I could properly celebrate Joe Adele of the Anaheim Angels of Anaheim.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele.
It is amazing that he stole 3 home runs, and the last one he ends up in the right field bleachers because he fell over the entirety of the wall. Jeremy's on vocal rest because he threw out his voice this weekend with all the broadcasting he was doing, and he wants to save it for tomorrow's live stream. But quickly, Jeremy, because I don't know the answer to this question, that was not the final out of the 9th inning, correct? That was earlier in the 9th inning?
Correct.
Thank you. If that's the only word you say today, it'll be your most efficient show ever, and I'm here for it. Again, tomorrow we're going to do a live stream at 6:30. This is a little bit inexplicable. We have to plan these things well in advance. So because the Panthers are out of the playoffs after losing by a combined score of 7,000-3 this weekend against the Pittsburgh Penguins, they've been eliminated. So we're going to be watching a Panthers game. The Heat have not been eliminated. They are the 10 seed, but they've got 2 games against Toronto.
But we hope they are eliminated.
On the road, and they got a game against Atlanta, so they're unlikely to be in anything other than the play-in game. And also, we're going to be watching the first-place Marlins. That's tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., and we're just going to be doing random shenanigans, watching whatever it is that's going on in sports. But what are you guys expecting from the Heat these last 5 games? If Spo and Bam and all of them are right with, we're better than this, the next 5 games would be a good time to prove it against Atlanta and Toronto. Next 4 games, excuse me. Not against Washington anymore. You got 2 at Toronto, Zaz, and 1 against Atlanta. What are you expecting? Because I'm expecting them to go 1-2 at best in those 3 games.
My guess is they'll split the games in Toronto. And they could very well lose the last game to Atlanta because the Hawks could need that game. Like, the Hawks right now are 5th. They're going to want to stave off number 6. They're 2 up on Philly. So that's up in the air whether or not the Hawks are going to actually need that game. And the Hawks never lose anymore. My guess is that they go 2-2 in these final 4.
I'm at a real loss for how it is that they've dropped to 11th in defensive rating. They've been terrible for about 6 weeks, and partially because they're playing good teams, but they're better than this defensively, or they have been for the first 60 games of the season. Then all of a sudden they're not. But I want to play Atlanta announcer Steve Holman. I know you guys did some of this Friday, but I didn't think that we'd have a clip ever that rivaled Steve Holman getting mad at the Heat 20 years ago and saying, the Heat have resorted to thuggery. But I am told that against the Magic, we have Steve Holman, the same announcer 20 years later, still bringing it.
Jalen in the lane, get it knocked away, but it goes right to Jonathan Kuminga. Now to Jock, who goes up and got fouled hard. Jock Landale just got knocked down. A terrible, dirty play by the Orlando Magic. This is what they do. They just knocked down Jock Landale and hurt him badly. Oh, my goodness. Somebody should get thrown out of this game. What a dirty, rotten team this Orlando Magic is. Oh, my goodness gracious. Jock Landale got knocked down hard. Dyson Daniels wanted to go over and help him. Pray to God that Jock Landale is not hurt badly, folks. That was a dirty, rotten play by Orlando. I don't care what anybody says or anybody replays on this one. This is a dirty, rotten team. They get down by 30 points, and this is what they do. They are dirty, rotten players, every one of them on that team. Can't take the losing. The Hawks are going to be 4-0 against this team. They whine and complain on everything, and then they go to dirty, rotten tactics. Badazzi has no business even being in the league. Gogo Badazzi should be thrown out of the game, thrown out of the league for a play like that. He is a no-talent, dirty, rotten player. They're going to come over and look at this. They better throw him out on a flagrant 2. There's no doubt that this should be a flagrant 2. If they call anything else, it's wrong.
The prior foul's under review for a potential flagrant foul.
No kidding. Thank you very much, Ed Malloy. Mr. Obvious.
Jock Landale walked off in his own power.
How many times did he call things dirty, rotten?
7.
You guys were counting?
Yeah.
Okay.
What a dirty, rotten team this Orlando Magic is.
All right, so I've got something that was repeated 7 times this weekend from basketball as well, and it is I was laughing because it is rare for Jokic to show this much personality, okay? He's being interviewed by Dirk Nowitzki and Taylor Rooks and Udonis Haslem and Blake Griffin. And they've just won, and it was a great game. God almighty, that game against San Antonio. Jokic has gone for 43 times against Wemby. He calls Wemby the most unique player in the league, but he knows how to bump him and get him out of the way. And he's gone for 43 times against the best defensive player in the sport. And Jokic wins in overtime, and he's got the trophy over his left shoulder from when they beat the Heat and Jimmy Butler in 5 games while talking to Udonis. And in all of this, I want you to not only hear the Jokic joke, which is funny, directed at Udonis Haslem, but how immediately he takes it back by saying that he was joking a full 7 times.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
We did foul a little bit in Miami. We did.
I mean, yeah, you all win.
We see the position.
Yeah, I know,
we see the background.
I see it. I see it. I got 3 of them things now. Be careful. Hey, I got 3 of them things now. Be careful, big dog.
Not against me.
No.
I'm joking.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't have to guard you. You're right.
Big respect.
And big respect. 7 I'm joking.
3 big respects.
All right, but that is, though, that line, if you can cut up for me, I'd like you to play the whole thing again. But Jokic saying that's a movie poster, not against me. The way that he delivered that with that accent has some mercenary assassin in it.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
We did foul a little bit in Miami. We did.
I mean, yeah, you all win.
We see the position.
Yeah, I know.
We see the background.
I see it. I see it. I got 3 of them things now. Be careful. Hey, I got 3 of them things now. Be careful, big dog.
Not against me.
No.
I'm joking.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't have to guard you. You're right.
Big respect.
I counted 4 on the redo of Big Respect.
6 I'm joking's, 4 big respects.
7 I'm joking's, 4 big respects.
Not against me.
No.
I'm joking.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't have to guard you. You're right.
Dirty, rotten player. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. If you're calling someone dirty, rotten, are you over 70 years old?
He is a no-talent, dirty, rotten player.
Speaking of basketball and the Miami Heat, I want Zaz's opinion and everyone's opinion here as the Heat try to make this season interesting. When I tell you that Nikola Jovic since 2025, November 10th of 2025, is averaging 6 points and 3 rebounds on 34% shooting, and that they gave him a 4-year, $62 million contract, and that they kept him out of the Durant trade talks. Is there anyone that can explain that? Never mind defend it. it can't be defended. There's no circumstance under which you can defend it, but how do you explain it?
Well, Nikola's defense is that they've changed their style of play and it doesn't fit him and he has a hard time with it. That's his defense that he mentioned because he finally got to play the other night, against Washington because the Heat were up by 1,000, and he mentioned that that's why this has been such a big struggle. But I know Mike and Amin, you guys really got into it last week when I was away also, and one of the things that I would certainly agree with you about, Mike, with the Heat over these last few years is they've lacked foresight. And one of those examples would be Niko Jovic, where not just the 4 years, $60 million, and he literally never plays, but it's quite possible that they held him out of offering him for Kevin Durant. And are we going to have this conversation? I don't think we are, but are we going to have this conversation again in a couple of years from now where they wouldn't include Kella Ware in whatever, trade X, and maybe he turns into nothing? Again, I don't think that's going to be the case, but they were holding back Jovic, and they don't even play him. And so that is one of my big problems with the Heat is the lacking foresight. It's, hey, you should have traded Norman Powell at the trade deadline, okay? Because there's no way you're keeping Hero and Powell next season. That's dumb. Why didn't you know that Hero and Powell are completely redundant skill sets, that they're not going to work together? It's stuff like this that I don't understand why they haven't had the foresight to maybe see some of these things.
They just missed the mark. Amin did the whole thing. You don't know what was available to them. It doesn't matter. They decided that they were going to keep riding with what they had. They decided against being sellers. There's always a deal to be made. They have guys on their roster. Are we to believe that they have the league's most undesirable roster? Because if there were no deals available to them, it's even more of a failure than we were even hypothesizing.
But let's keep it on this one, though. Just on this particular one.
Yeah, it's catastrophic. It's a terrible contract now. When we were all kind of nervous about it, but we're like, well, if he progresses away that their development team thinks, and it's actually not a bad contract.
It's the case with Lillard too, right? I don't think they wanted to include him in a potential Lillard deal. It's they never play him.
Yeah, from where I'm sitting, keeping guys like Ware and Jovic out of these deals doesn't really make sense to me. But they seem to like them, which is a strong disagreement that I have, and they find themselves in the play-in again.
You strenuously object.
These are nothing years. These are wasted years.
I think the part that's upsetting is that you have this great developmental team within the Miami Heat that gets these diamonds out of nowhere, but then they go on and just don't really get anything for them. They leave and they go sign big contracts somewhere else, but there's no real return. Right. With Jovic, it felt like people in the league saw around oh, wait a second, there's something there. If you can mold him in the right way, that's a good player for the next maybe 7 to 8, 9, 10 years. And now it's how do you take on a guy who's making what?
Never plays.
$45 million, for the next 3 years?
60
million. After this year, he'll make 45 in the next couple, 2-3 years.
It's an excellent point. It's an excellent point by Tony in that they do develop these guys. They develop them to the place in the marketplace where Gabe Vincent goes and signs a huge contract,
but leaves for nothing.
But yeah, the only times it ever goes, either the Heat sign them to a big inflated deal,
or they leave for nothing,
or someone else says, and again, they don't add to their assets, which. The thing with this franchise over the last few years is that they've obviously whiffed on a lot of trades, and the argument always is, well, they don't have enough assets. They don't have enough assets because they keep some of the more desirable ones off the table when it comes to trade talks, or, like this season, they don't do anything to add to them.
That's one of the things that has also bothered me over the recent years with the Heat when it comes to trying to make trades and what they're willing to give up. And this is also very much their MO when it comes to signing players in free agency, where they attach a value to a player when they're looking to trade. And it's this is what we're willing to willing to give up. We're not going to go over this, all right? You're not going to bully us into making the trade. We are good with this trade, but this is the price. And it's they're never willing to pay a little bit extra to get the deal done. They're never willing to let it hurt a little bit to get the deal done.
But can I keep you on this one contract? I understand the overall frustration that you have about a lack of foresight. They decided to pay this person when they and only they knew they were going to go up-tempo offense. They came out of the box and surprised us. We did not know that they were going to play with the fastest rate of speed in the league. Now, Jovic himself says in a quote, we're trying a lot of stuff. Last 4 years, we're basically the same team with the same record, and I guess they've tried different things. Some stuff suits you better, some stuff doesn't. I have to make it work. To give him 4 years, $62 million is an announcement. We know something the rest of you don't. What did you know? What did you see? You have more information than us. You knew what you were going to do with your offense. You could tell whether he would fit or not. And at this time, you could have gotten in trade talks with Durant, with this player, because you knew more than anybody that he wasn't going, or you should have known more than anybody, that he wasn't going to work in what you were doing offensively. But clearly they did not know. And how is that possible?
If I could be a precise translator for Jeremy today, who was on vocal rest, they thought that when they instituted this offense, this would be a good thing for Jovic, and it hasn't turned out to be.
How can you miss that?
A big miss.
Very bad.
But how, when you have all the information, you're in charge of the money, you know more than us in every single way, how can this player not be a player who can get on the court for you? That you're giving $62 million when you're not giving much of anybody money.
And Simone Fontecchio is playing more than Nikola Jovic. It doesn't make sense.
So that's it? We're gonna say $62 million doesn't make sense. We're just going to say that is an act of stupidity. Give me what they've done worse than that. For all your complaints about all the things that they haven't gotten, and Amin's complaints on the other end, you don't know what they could have been offered. Well, I know that this was available to them, and I know that they had more information than we did on every single thing, and I know they decided this was a good player, and this has not been a good player.
Yeah, this fits that Waiters, James Johnson, Whiteside type of mold and regrettable contracts. They're ice cold right now, just as a front office and as a franchise. They're in one of the worst spots you could be, which is not in the lottery and not a threat in the playoffs. They're not adding to their assets to kind of get out of it, and we're just hoping that for the 5th consecutive year, the pie in the sky moonshot scenario of getting a whale finally works out for them with what they have.
To Zaz's point, whenever you go buy anything, you go in with the expectation of I'm going to pay a little bit more because it's what I want. Right?
They're not willing to.
They're not willing to do that. If you go to a car dealership and you're like, hey, I really want this car, and the guy's like, it's going to cost you $2,500 extra, and you're like, ugh.
It has to be on their terms.
And that's the problem. Nobody's going to play that game with you. You could have packaged Norm Powell and Jovic at the deadline and give it to a contender, and somebody would have paid something.
It's it's okay for the deal to hurt a little bit for you to get what you want, and they're never willing to allow it to hurt a little bit.
Oh, but this is going to hurt you guys more than a little bit, because I haven't even given you the worst part of this, because it gets worse. His extension, $62 million extension, doesn't kick in until next season.
Right.
So he's under contract through the end of the decade, longer than any other Heat player is under contract. That's brutal.
Right. They've been not playing him while he doesn't make any money. Next year,
I thought it was this year that he signed it.
No, it's next year.
That is brutal. Chris Cody has spent the last 40 minutes looking for a sound that will allow us to properly retire the Big Sooie as a name. For those of you who are more confused than ever about what we're doing, the second hour of our daily show has been called the Big Sooie for a long time. I'm going to guess about 8 years. We're now going to change it to simply Hour 1. So it's not Hour 1 because the local hour is the first hour, but it's going to be Local Hour, Hour 1, Hour 2, Hour 3. And for those of you who do not know or don't have any of this history, okay, do you know what the word Sooie means and the origins of Sooie on this show?
Yeah.
Okay, you know. Because I'm assuming a lot of people do not know that Luther Campbell of Two Live Crew one time came on here and he was reviewing a Kobe Bryant rap song.
Sooie!
That's what he called it. He just said it's sewage, it's worse than sewage, it's worse than hot garbage.
Sooie!
It's Sooie. And so Later on, when we were taking calls from car phones and landlines, we had a rule of no pleasantries on the show. You cannot start the call with, hey, hello, what's going on? We just wanted you to get to whatever it is your point was. And anybody who did start with a pleasantry got hit with the Sooie guillotine, which was just an assortment of random sounds. So I want you to imagine somebody calls in, hey, how you doing, guys? And we just hit them immediately with something like this.
So it's me versus you. My dad's in town. Can I offer him an invitation?
Yarn!
And I tell you, I don't wish that girl any bad luck, but I hope she gets hit with a car.
He's got AIDS.
Go, Ed Malloy! I love selling blood!
Time capsule.
That was a good song.
I don't think that was the best Sooie montage, but it's
That was long. So a guy would call in, and for him to not be long, you would hit him with that, which was
right.
long.
Well, but entertaining. See,
True,
it's
true.
not. It's not. Hey, how you doing? It's this.
So it's me versus you. My dad's in town. Can I offer him an invitation?
Yarn!
And I tell you, I don't wish that girl any bad luck, but I hope she gets hit with a car.
He's got AIDS.
Go, Ed Malloy! I love selling blood!
That was Tommy Lasorda.
You love selling blow?
Yes. Yeah, that was a rap song by Tommy Lasorda that, he loves selling blow. You didn't know that? I want to get back to Joe Adele for a second because I just can't believe that this happened. Do any of you find as fascinating as I do? Because it cannot be covered enough. It cannot be to me, it could not be a sports story that gets covered by the mainstream media sufficiently to say that in a single game, a guy reached a shutout. A 1-0 game, a guy reached over the fence 3 times to steal home runs, and on the third one, in the 9th inning, ended up fully in the right field bleachers in one of the coolest photographs you will ever see, given the historic nature of the moment. And I'm willing to say it's the best defensive thing I've ever seen at a sporting event. I just can't imagine the mathematical odds against being able to steal 3 home runs in a single game. And I don't know, like, all of them were clean, all of them were great, all of them were him reaching over the fence, and the last of them was the best of them and the most important of them.
There are a few things that make all of it so cool. Like when you're growing up and you're playing baseball, we all would fantasize about stealing a home run. It's one of the coolest things you could possibly do. Not only did he do it 3 times in a game, all 3 of them were legit robbing home runs. Like Aaron Judge, I think on Saturday, took away, a home run from one of the Marlins hitters, but not really. Like, he just kind of stuck his arm up, and, I don't even know if it would have cleared the wall.
Well, he's also a giant. So
okay.
He's also massive with, a 9-foot, 8 wingspan.
But all of these would have been home runs, and, of course, it was a 1-0 game. Now, I don't want to be this guy, Dan, all right?
Uh-oh.
But the third one, which is the coolest one.
Don't do this. I've heard this.
And it's
Don't
on
do
the
this.
short porch in right field, and he falls into the crowd.
Don't do this, Zach.
Let him cook.
How is that a home run? The ball is
Not a
in
home
the
run.
stands. The ball's in the stands. How is it not a home run? He catches it, but he's in the crowd. You're telling me you could just run into the stands 10 rows up, catch a ball? Oh, no, it's out. It's not a home run because I caught it. He's in the crowd. How is that a home run? Not a home run. I'm just saying. The ball's in the crowd.
Do you have eyes? Because
Yeah, I have eyes.
he jumps from the field of play, out of the field of play, while the ball is still in the air, catches
And
it.
everyone lands in home run territory.
So he should have taken it out of his glove, thrown it back into the field of play, and just made it a double.
If a ball lands in the crowd over the wall.
It didn't land.
It didn't land in the
He
crowd.
caught it.
Of course it did.
No, the player.
They all
landed.
landed.
No, it
No,
didn't.
no,
It
in his
all
glove.
landed in his glove.
But he is in the crowd.
But he jumped out. He hasn't landed yet, right? What you're not understanding is that he jumps,
The out
catches
is
it
made
in the
as
air.
soon as the ball goes in his glove. Out.
Exactly. He hasn't landed yet, right? So if he lands and then catches it, yeah, it's a home
I
run.
think the part you're not understanding, Zaz, is that for it to be a home run, it has to hit beyond play. The ball has to land somewhere beyond the fence. It can hit if it hits over the fence and falls behind the fence, or even hit. There are times, right? There There are markings in the big leagues that something could hit a facade, end up back on the field, but because it's gone over the fence, it's a home run. But the place it hits beyond the fence can't be a glove.
Right.
Like,
But
it can be anything but a glove. If it hits anything but well, I suppose he could catch it in his hat as well.
He could.
Bare hand, too.
Well, we saw that in a league of their own. What if he jumps over the fence and then
establishes himself over the fence?
That's what I'm saying.
You can't establish yourself.
No,
it has to be in the air.
Then he would have to jump up into the air. Once you establish yourself over the fence, then you leap into the air as long as your feet are
That's
not on the
crazy.
ground when you catch
No
it.
way.
No, that's
back
not true. That's not
into
true.
right field.
That maybe.
He hops over the fence, builds up momentum, and runs,
That might work.
leaps,
I don't know.
lands in the field of play.
You have to bring the ball back into the field of play. That's robbing a home run. That ball is over the fence.
What if he stands on top of the fence and catches the ball
That's
like
an
in
out.
Major
That's-
League 2?
Roy, that's clearly an out.
That was Major League 2. I'm pretty sure I'd have to look this up. I'm going to try and look it up during the break. I'm pretty sure in a Japanese baseball game one time, there is a famous video clip of a guy standing on top of the wall.
Dan, again,
and
that's Major
catching
League
the ball.
2.
No, I know.
It's
know
a Japanese player.
No,
It was in Cleveland.
No, guys.
They traded Parkman for him.
Yeah.
Marbles.
He had the audacity to challenge Serrano, and nobody did that. That was before the life insurance commercials. That's when Serrano was menacing.
He named Wild Things Pitch the
Are you in
master
good
painter.
hands?
I am not confusing. He had good hands. I am not confusing the Japanese player in Major League 2 with a real home run in Japanese baseball.
But maybe.
It also, no, not maybe.
There is a chance, and you're like low key afraid of it.
No,
You're sweating.
I'm gonna no.
big
We can't
moment.
trust our memories, Dan. Do you know that? Did you know that?
This could be a Mandela effect.
I'm telling you that before I saw it in Major League 2, I had seen it in Japanese baseball, but I'm going to look it up during the break to prove myself to you guys. Now, you may remember, you may not remember, that last year during the first half of a Vikings football game, speaking of defensive things, Isaiah Rodgers had both like a 66-yard fumble return touchdown and like an 87-yard pick six in the first half of a game against the Bengals. And when that happened, I'm like, that's probably one of the best defensive halves anybody's ever had. The mathematical odds against Joe Adell catching 3 home run balls in a single game when the most home run robberies by a single player in the entire season last year was 4 for the entire season, and it's only because the home runs are getting robbed more than they ever have. Can someone please explain to me what's happening there? How is it possible? Is it because baseball players are better athletes? It's because they're all trying to hit home runs. But how is it possible that I would go an entire Marlins season without watching anybody get a home run stolen, and now all of a sudden every single week it's happening with somebody in baseball, and now it's happening 3 times in a single game?
I mean, it should be noted that park's dimensions play to this. What was that? They play to this. Like that short porch in right is pretty unique.
But at least that was just one of the 3. You know, otherwise he's still at 2.
No, the other 2 weren't over there. The other
Right.
2 were closer to right
Still
center.
at 2.
It wasn't. That's not where the other 2 were. Again, Joe Adell is his name, and he just did something more memorable in an Angels game than Albert Pujols or Mike Trout ever did.
I mean, it's an outlier, though, right? Like, you're looking at something that rarely happens.
I think it's completely random.
It's the Bam 83-point game. Like, why aren't people scoring more? It's like, well, we had this random guy do it. He had three stolen home run plays.
I think it's a weird random baseball
I'm going to
thing.
say it again. Joe Adell just did something more memorable in an Angels uniform than Mike Trout or Albert Pujols ever did.
The wickedly talented one and only Adele.
I want to go back to that original clip because you can't play John Travolta enough. He's trying to say Adina Menzel. He has a card in front of him that spells it phonetically. He panics and decides to do it with a flourish, and it's a terrible idea.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazim.
Do you think when he walked off the stage, he was thinking to himself, all right, I don't think anyone noticed?
No, I think he felt the panic immediately.
Jeremy, don't waste too much of your voice. Pick your spot here. We've been talking for 40 minutes without your help here. So pick your spot on anything that was said in the last 40 minutes that you'd like to either counter or address.
Adele is one of the best outfielders in Major League Baseball defensively.
Got emotional there.
You guys are stupid.
What do you mean?
No, we're stupid.
Not you, Dan.
I'm trying to celebrate something that
As you should. Zaz is an idiot. He doesn't like anything fun.
Just trying to get a clarification of the rules.
You're an
is all.
idiot. Ball off a player or his glove, goes over the fence. That's a home run. Guy catches the ball. It's a fucking out.
I'm telling you, I think the one that was ruled a home run should not be a home run, and the one that was not a home run should be.
Because you hate things.
None of them were home runs. What are you talking about?
Well, the one that went off the kid's head.
Oh, the one.
But I don't think it should have been.
Oh, I see what you're doing now. He got tremendo chichong after that, right?
Oh, for sure.
It started growing almost
No,
immediately. You know
for
when
sure.
you hit your head and you get that chichong and you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe
That guy
it.
woke up this morning with a bowling pin.
It was like in Looney Tunes
a
where the thing
bowling
grows.
pin out of his forehead. Like that. I mean, he was 20 feet from the warning track. Like it doesn't seem physically possible. The ball. If I just said to you as a riddle, hey, the center fielder 20 feet from the warning track got in the forehead. Is there any way that it goes over the fence behind him for home run? No is the answer to that.
You see that mirror to the left. He's like, oh, this is weird. There's a lot of weird stuff here. Oh, my God. I just saw myself. He's like, get out of here. So that's how I imagine a bear would react if they saw Jeremy in the woods.
But that's what they would do to me.
It's really screwed up to do that to a bear, honestly. He's just like not expecting, just like having a nice stroll.
Right.
And just, we'll watch it one more time. This is good fun. Good, clean fun right here.
It really
He's
is.
just like, oh, my God.
And then he's going,
He was definitely
a good-looking bear.
Definitely scarred from that for a few months.
Who puts a mirror in the woods?
It's weird.
That's my question.
How did it get there?
It was probably for the internet video. They probably did that on purpose.
Yeah, but you're messing with bears. I mean,
it's not right.
Leave the bear alone.
Who would do something for the internet visually like that with a bear?
Imagine that.
What are the chances there was a camera right in front of it, too? Jeez. Small world.
Greg, it was interesting. A bunch of people agreed. Now, you had a weekend where the Eagles lost, the Niners lost, so no more undefeated teams. 72 Dolphins could celebrate. But a lot of people saying the Dolphins were the best team in the NFL through 6 weeks. And so I know you're impressed with the offense. Hawk was in here yesterday, Andrew Hawkins, Tomahawk Podcast. He said that Tyreek Hill is the best player, non-quarterback division, in the NFL. And I agree with him. The Dolphins are overwhelming. I'm not certain they're not the best team in the NFL right now, Greg.
I think they are at this minute. They're an underdog in Philadelphia, but only by 2.5 points, which is very interesting.
Definitely they have the best offense. I think it's the best offense in Dolphins history. And when I write that, I get a lot of criticism. Too soon. What about this? What about that? Look.
Hour one of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Again, I will remind you that we're going to be popping up more and more at odd hours, just doing shows for you that are tied to something in sports. And the next one of these that we're going to do is tomorrow night, beginning at 6:30 p.m., where we watch the last of the Panthers season together. The two-time defending champions deserve a better burial than Keith Kachuk calling them soft and them losing 9-4 and 5-2 at Pittsburgh to be eliminated from the playoffs. So we will celebrate the Panthers tomorrow night. I don't think there's any dishonor in getting a bunch of injuries and your best player gets injured, and then all of a sudden the conference is very good, and so you're merely a 500 team trying to get Barkov back, and you can't get the season to Barkov, so he decides to not come back at all. Or I suspect that if they'd made a playoff run, he might have tried to do something, but we'll watch Heat at Raptors. I'm not optimistic with that. The Raptors aren't very good. They're actually the same team. Both the Heat and the Raptors are the same team. They got the same point differential. The difference between them is that Miami lost a game at home to Utah that Utah was trying to dump, but they've got to play both games in Canada, and so I'm not expecting anything from the Miami Heat.
And that's at 6:30 tomorrow, 305 Equinox, presented by Never Miss Your Shot Golf.
Thank you. And then also the first place Marlins, who are hitting and then beat the Yankees, fended off the Yankees to win 1 of 3 in New York yesterday. But the video team has found what I was looking for. I was not accidentally racist. I was not confusing a Japanese player who caught a home run ball from Major League Two with this play. Major League Two was stealing this play, and I'm sorry, audio audience. I suggest going to YouTube so that you could see.
Submariner, yeah.
Drive to left field. It's almost, he climbs the wall, and it's caught.
On top of the wall. He's got his, that was an excellent call.
A little sad, though.
It was also
sad.
He
hit it.
It was also sad. We didn't have any crowd noise, crack of the bat. He didn't have what was his motivation, really? A Japanese baseball game for
It's like Boog Shambi in a closet doing Korean
30
baseball.
years ago? Yes. That's Can we talk about that for a second?
Good times.
No, but what he just said, at the beginning of the pandemic, ESPN had local cable contracts that hadn't accounted for, what do you mean there are going to be no sports? And so to fulfill those contracts, ESPN was airing at 5 o'clock in the morning with Boog Shambi in a closet somewhere, South Korean baseball. But the best part of that is that Boog would be studying for that game, okay? And what would happen is right before the game, at 5 o'clock in the morning, 10 minutes beforehand, they'd say, hey, Boog, that's not the game you have. You have this game over here. And he's like, are you kidding me? I don't know any of these players' names. Like, I'm already in my closet. How am I going to call South? Hits it to the guy.
And number 10 hits it to 32?
And
33.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah, it's not a good situation. I feel exonerated. You guys were desperate to accuse me of conflating Major League Two and a Japanese left fielder with a play I had seen in Japanese baseball. It was insulting to me. It was demeaning. It underestimates me. I'm offended that our show would believe that I would think.
You can't act like you've been there before if you've never been there before.
Guy gets one thing right, taking a victory lap.
It's just offensive that my team believes that I just grab random things from the movies.
We're all as surprised as you are.
And make them my own. Like, do you remember during that Anaheim Angels game with Gwyneth Paltrow's head was in a box? The story from the weekend, I thought, And I know UCLA just won the championship, and I know that Dawn Staley was very, very happy for Corey Close in a way she would not have been for Geno Auriemma. But to me, the story of the weekend from basketball, men's and women's, was Geno Auriemma making a fool of himself as a poor loser after an undefeated season where he gets his head wiped on the floor by a South Carolina team that beats him by double digits, and then is whimpering afterward about how Dawn Staley wouldn't come and say hello to him, that he was waiting for her 3 minutes to say hello before the game, and then after the game decides to say something to her about it, and she could be seen mouthing, "I will beat Geno's ass." She says it twice, and I believe her. I believe that if Geno Auriemma had tried to fight Dawn Staley, she would have suplexed him. She would have suplexed that sore loser old man. What a baby Geno Auriemma was after losing. No grace whatsoever after losing, and should be embarrassed by the way his team performed, by the way his team got dragged, and should be more embarrassed by the way that he represented his sport there in a moment where he takes away from what South Carolina did by making the show at the end about himself, because that's the punctuation he puts on their season. Just a true embarrassment. One of the great stains on a really, truly legendary, pioneering career.
One day later, UConn put out a statement from Geno Auriemma saying, quote, "There's no excuse for how I handled the end of the game versus South Carolina. It's unlike what I do and what our standard is here at Connecticut. I want to apologize to the staff and the team at South Carolina. It was uncalled for how I reacted. The story should be how well South Carolina played, and I did not want my actions to detract from that. I've had a great relationship with their staff, and I sincerely want to apologize to them." He never says Coach Staley's name.
He said that they're not friends. He said they have nothing in common, and it isn't terribly
high head kick there.
Surprising at all that a man would come in and ruin a celebration for women. Dawn Staley muttering in a way that was snarling, and everyone saw, "I will beat Geno's ass." Geno's 72, Dawn Staley.
She mouthed it multiple times like, "I need this to get clipped."
What do you think the odds would be?
What would be the DraftKings odds on Dawn Staley against Geno Auriemma? I think Geno Auriemma would have a burst of crazy at the beginning, but then stamina would be a problem. 72
Be like
years
me
old.
during the street hockey game where I come out strong and then about 2 minutes in, I'm like, I need a break.
I don't want to handicap it.
Except he's twice your age.
That's right.
He's 70. He's 72. It is, to me, instructive, funny, amazing, and a symbol to the competitive spirit of what Dawn Staley is, that she would say that, feel it, think it, and know it. Like that she would mouth that it would be in her because she believes it. And because the ferocity and the rage and the competitive nature of the moment grabbed her, it was a startling thing for me to watch. Basically, her have inside her the kind of rage that would want to fight an old man.
Well, and we've seen coaches get physical with each other before. What was it? It was Juwan Howard and who was it a few years ago? I forget the coach, but they put hands on each other. You remember? Did Juwan take a swing at him? Actually, you've seen it before, where there have been coaches who put hands on each other.
You haven't seen it when it's a man and a woman.
That
though.
would be crazy.
Dan, something you said earlier, you think this is actually going to be a stain on Geno's entire legacy and stuff? I don't think we'll ever talk about this ever 10 years down the road.
Oh, wait, I'm not saying it's a stain on his entire legacy. I'm saying it's a stain on everything he's done today. I'm saying that what has just happened here leaves a mark on who he is in a way that people will remember that he was this sore a loser. Of course, look, man, I've heard Conan O'Brien say this. He's like, look, we're all, dust motes. It's been a long time since anyone mentioned the name of Calvin Coolidge, who used to be important. Conan O'Brien was standing over the grave of Calvin Coolidge and wondering, we're pretty small and irrelevant, all of us. the history of Geno Auriemma will be a great leader and pioneer, but I will not unsee what a sore loser he was to ruin this for everybody this weekend. Like, it is just such bad form to have that little grace that the reason you're trying to fight somebody is because she didn't show you, the king of college basketball, the proper respect, and you had to wait for her for 3 minutes, and the only reason we know it is because you volunteered it afterward because you were being such a big baby about the fact that your team got dragged. You haven't lost all season, and the way that you lose that one, you have so little dignity and grace about the frustration of the moment that it leaks out in just sore loser stuff that then you have to clean up with a bunch of public relations and statements the day after. Again, it's supposed to be a celebration of the women. What are you doing?
I'm going to be an ally here. Harping on this and saying stuff like that, that's not being a true ally. We see guys go at this all the time. When Jim Schwartz and Jim Harbaugh are running up the tunnel, we're not taking 5 minutes out to say, how could you do that to poor Jim Schwartz? So I'm going to be an ally here, equality for all.
Well, but I think the strangest part was the things that Geno Auriemma was saying he was upset about didn't actually happen. Like, he was saying how originally he said, she didn't come and shake my hand pregame, and then somehow it turned into he had to wait for 3 minutes. They show the video of them shaking hands pregame, and he also talked about how physical South Carolina was and how one of his players had her jersey ripped, and the referees didn't even call it, and then they show the video. The girl ripped her own jersey after the play behind the basket in frustration. It's like he was like confused.
Bob Saleh threatened to kick Liam Cohen's ass to his face.
Again, the thing that I'm complaining about is the whimpering afterward, that he just made it all about him in his frustration because he didn't like that he lost for the first time this season. Like I'm not even talking about the argument with her. I'm talking about everything he did afterward.
Yeah, he's being a sore loser.
I mean, he's just being a baby. That's not a 72-year-old adult. That's somebody who's not used to losing and reacts very poorly to losing. I wanted to talk to this guy, Zaz, because he does very good work in an assortment of areas. Morning Combat on MMA, the DraftKings Network. He's a journalist, he's an analyst, he's a host, and his work on combat sports, I'd say, is second to none. I put him right there in the class with Ariel Helwani. I don't put anybody in that class.
Tony.
New episodes every Monday and Friday, and he's also very good on politics. Luke Thomas gets political. Nice seeing you, Luke. Thank you for making the time for us. The place that I wanted to start is the fight on the White House lawn. What are you doing with all of that?
Trying to process exactly what it means and how to cover it. It's not exactly clear. This, of course, will take place on Trump's 80th birthday. June 15th, I believe, is the day. It is essentially, I mean, you have to understand, it's basically two events in one. And what I mean by that is, on the one hand, it is, if you look at the card, it is a real MMA event. And not just that, you can quibble about the quality of the card in some capacity, but certainly the top two fights have very important relevance for the divisions in which they take place, respectively in the main event, lightweight, and then the co-main event, heavyweight. So I'm going to cover it on one level like that. On the other level, though, you have to just kind of recognize what it is, which is that this is a reward for the UFC in helping return Trump to power to the 2024 election. It is my belief that there is basically no mainstream, certainly not sport and entertainment entity, that has a greater role in returning Trump to power than the UFC. And in particular, and this is important, Dan, they are the most important, again, mainstream kind of actor in rehabilitating Donald Trump post-January 6th, and there's more to be talked about if you want to. So I'm trying to cover both of those events as one simultaneously, a fight event, as well as this kind of political reward for this effort that they did for the Trump regime.
It's called UFC Freedom 250. As you mentioned, it's going to be Trump's birthday. What are you expecting in terms of the galling fusion of things that are going to bother you as someone who is a journalist who tries to be fair and objective about the way you cover sports, but you also see America melting down in the hands of somebody who ought to be in a nursing home?
Yeah. I got to be honest, like to me, the right-wing turn that the company has made is complete. It is. I mean, I don't know that they're. I mean, they could keep going further down the line. But what I mean to say is, it used to bother me when they were in this kind of period where they were trotting him out, and it literally changed the sport, right? I mean, this is not an exaggeration. On the one hand, it drove out people who aren't like automatically sympathetic to MAGA, or at a bare minimum, just politically agnostic. It drove all of them out, and it pulled back in a group of folks who I would describe as like terminally online chud losers. There's just a bunch of them more than there used to be. That's one. And then it also gave license down the line within other actors in the space to lean into their right-wing advocacy. So, for example, in Coconut Creek, Florida, not too far from where you are, Dan, there's American Top Team, which is a fantastic gym, but they helped hold a political rally to get Ron DeSantis reelected, during this kind of time, this fever that was happening that the UFC kind of opened the door to, at least within the MMA space. So it doesn't actually really bother me anymore. I mean, it's kind of done. What I'm just looking to see is what it actually does to the sport long term. And to be clear, the jury is very much still out on that. They just signed a huge Paramount deal. They're going to make a ton of money. But as you indicated, Dan, the country is on fire. He's trying to set the world on fire. And I want to say this one more time. They wanted a lot of credit in returning Trump to power when there was a lot of fever in favor of Trump. But now a lot of that fever is beginning to break. But I still think we need to make sure that we always assign the return of Trump to power with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. You cannot disentangle those two. And so I'm just looking to see what impact all of this ultimately has. But my revulsion, those days are pretty much over.
Luke, what do you make of Dana's soft launch into trying to be someone that brings all the sides together and trying to distance himself from how political an organization the UFC is in your mind?
Yeah, I find this to be, manifestly absurd. People have tried to make the argument to me, for example, that Dana himself is not super political, that this is more, just sort of playing the levels of what it means to be a big company trying to navigate, the world of, whatever your needs might be in terms of interfacing with government or powerful actors. And there's something to be said for that, surely, right? I don't think that he's some kind of Matt Walsh character or something, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter, because what they did was, again, after January 6th, one of the very first places that Trump went was UFC, I think it was the trilogy between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. I believe UFC 246, could be 240 something else. I forget exactly what the number is, 264, something like that. But it's the trilogy in July of 2021. It was the same within the span of days of the time where he went to CPAC. And if you actually, I did a whole video on this, you actually look at when Trump goes to UFC events, not always, but pretty often, it's in close conjunction with when he was getting indicted and by the way, held for liable for crimes in New York State. It was when the Jack Smith case was sort of ongoing in all its various dimensions. So he's getting mugshots, he's in Atlanta, he's getting hauled around. And in close proximity, he would go to these UFC events to kind of sort of rally support for him. Dana White, in fact, was very explicit about this. And my point is very clear. Like, whatever Dana White's personal view about the world, and maybe he doesn't hold all the same views as, for example, Stephen Miller, it doesn't matter, because he was a chief architect in returning a political project to power. You own what comes with that. You cannot distance yourself now. It is absolutely too late. So this idea that now we can come to a place after you've changed the fan base, after you've turned MMA into a vector for right-wing politics, now it's time for kumbaya? No, it is not. There is no coming back from this. And the destruction that Trump has wrought upon us is only, frankly, just beginning. And the UFC was very, very clear that they were big supporters of the president. And I intend to make sure everyone understands that connection as things deteriorate.
You know vastly more than I do, so please inform this with as much reported detail as you can. The criticism that I keep hearing that Dana White has checked out, that he doesn't care about UFC the way that he used to, that he's involved in a bunch of other stuff, and his lack of touch on things can be seen. Fair or unfair?
Largely pretty fair. Largely. Not entirely, but largely. And for some reason, that's actually not really controversial or has any kind of partisan valence. Part of it is that they want him to remain in place because he is obviously the UFC's most promoted star, if you think about it. And the fan base knows him. And again, you can make a lot of criticisms about Dana, but one thing you absolutely cannot deny is that to his bones, he's a fight fan. Like, that's real. And I accept that that's real, and I think everybody has to. Whereas somebody like Mark Shapiro, who's the chief operating officer of TKO, I mean, he could go to fights the rest of his life, and I would never consider him a fight fan. By the way, small little note there, Dan. You may recall Mark Shapiro was the guy Dan Snyder hired back here. I live in Washington, D.C., to turn the Six Flags franchise around in the late 2000s. Couldn't really do it, but any event, a little bit of a small.
Then he became Stephen A. Smith's agent.
Yeah, right. So you get the idea. But in any case, you're asking about whether he's checked out. There is simply no doubt. They have removed a lot of power from him, right? And by his own admission, he doesn't really do matchmaking anymore. He claims he doesn't really do fighter contracts anymore. Now, he is in charge, as I understand it, of the television broadcast, for example, the production elements and how it all looks and how it all sounds. Obviously, he has a role kind of as like a figurehead. But I think the amount of success that the UFC has had and the monopolistic control, this is my opinion, take it for what it is worth, it has made them lazy. It has made them lazy and a little bit sitting on their ass in terms of, kind of they used to crack the whip on their competitors, and there aren't any competitors anymore. And so between the market control that they have, as well as changing Dana's role within the company, he'll do these announcements for these fights, and he's like reading off a sheet of like stats. And it used to be the case he would like announce fights and then he'd be aggressively pitching you on why they matter. He literally cannot do that for the most part. So I would say that there is absolute validity to those concerns.
If he shows up, because he's missing a lot of these press conferences too. This White House event is a logistical nightmare. So what do you believe the biggest issues are?
In terms of its logistical challenges?
Or otherwise, right? It doesn't have to just be logistical. You might be worried about safety stuff.
Or Alex Pereira, how he's going to fare on the ground with Cyril Gane. Dan, it's a very important question. Can Justin Gaethje hold the right hand of Ilia Topuria? It's a lot of questions to be asked.
I mean, just on the logistical side, I honestly don't know how they're going to do it. So I've looked this up. I mean, they're going to do it. I'm not saying that they won't pull it off. They've been pretty good about, achieving logistical challenges. But on the security side of things, man, I just don't know how this is going to work. So Obama, in the last year of his office, held a kind of quasi South by Southwest knockoff event on the South Lawn, and it had about 1,000 people there, and they did that pretty successfully without much issue. Different time, different presidency, but they pulled that off. They're talking about 3,000 to 5,000 people just on the White House lawn. Many of them will be troops that they're going to bring in, which I don't think is a bad call necessarily. But there's going to be a lot of the, DC, McLean, KPMG, Booz Allen kind of class of people there. They're all going to have background checks to get in. Getting into the White House, getting out of the White House, getting 5,000 people into the White House, to say nothing of the fact that what they're claiming, and we'll see if this ends up being true, is that the fighters are going to walk out of the Oval Office onto the South Lawn. And that certainly creates a grand physical thing to show on television. But dude, how are you going to do that with all of these managers and all of these like agents and all of these like just training partners and coaches? And like, it just seems like it's a lot. I don't know how that's going to work. And then beyond that, I'm kind of interested to see just how the rest of the world receives it. I think the thing that you have to understand is inside MMA, they're looking at this like, hey, look at the amount of triumph that we have. We have ascended to the top halls of power. That's what we've done. And so they're looking at this as like, look, we've arrived. And there is something to be said for that, certainly. But to me, the argument is you did that. You actually made that final ascent by making a partisan turn. And in making that partisan turn, there comes a series of benefits, certainly, but a series of costs as well. And I'm very curious to see in the end, and just depending on how much Trump magnification the broadcast actually delves into, what this does to the brand or the sport, which, by the way, has some issues beyond just, in fact, I would argue even bigger issues beyond just the partisan turn it's taken.
Luke, TKO oversees WWE and UFC, and very recently there seems to be a turn amongst the wrestling fans against TKO, the decisions they're making, being priced out, taking a WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia, and they've got this whole creative arm that the internet wrestling community seems to disagree with. In the UFC sector of things, are there fans that are directing their ire towards TKO? Is there a clear line of demarcation the way that there is with wrestling fans?
Yes, but maybe not quite as explicit. I mean, what I'm noticing more, at least right now, and I think this will change, but certainly right now, what you're seeing from MMA fans is they're looking for a scapegoat of some kind. So, for example, like the guy that does what Dana maybe once used to do his name is Hunter Campbell. And he's the one that does most of, not the matchmaking per se, but, fighter negotiations. And you'll see him at events. He has glasses and, anyway, he's kind of there all the
Mustachioed
time.
man.
Yes, he has a mustachio. Yes, or mustache, whatever the proper term exactly would be. Forgive me, I forgot the nature of the question. Can you repeat it one more time?
You were holding him up as an example of where
TKO.
was influencing things.
Get it together. Get it together, Luke. You got distracted by the mustachio.
Me?
Good job, Tony.
I apologize. And so that's one. The other one is because the fights, not so much the last 2 weeks, but in general, they've been very lackluster. Recently, you're seeing people be like, oh, it's the Paramount era, which doesn't make any sense because most of these issues are long-standing before. You are seeing some people connect the dots to what is basically the extraction economy that TKO is trying to do, where they take from the talent and they extract value from the fan base. They have a monopolistic control over the industry, and so everyone just kind of suffers except for them. You are seeing some dots connected, but I don't think it's to the same degree that you do from wrestling fans who clearly pinpoint the corporate overlords in a way that MMA fans are still kind of pointing at the people that are more accessibly in their orbit rather than these sort of like, not fictional per se, but who is Mark Shapiro to the average MMA fan? I mean, they don't even know who he is in large part, nor should they necessarily. But it seems like with WWE, the fans are much more in tune with how the product changes as a result of like basically private equity.
I urge you to listen and watch Morning Combat on the DraftKings Network, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube at Morning Combat. And also watch, listen, and subscribe to Luke Thomas Gets Political. Getting political on the way out here on Easter Sunday. I really do believe that we need to take the keys from Grandpa and put him in a home. What he is doing is dangerous to our country. And on Easter, he writes this on Truth Social. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. There are a number of things about this that are troublesome, up to and including that our president is out here just threatening war crimes. Like, what the hell, Luke?
We are in trouble. We are in trouble. We are in deep, deep trouble. We are entering a phase of the rest of the world decoupling from the financial and security apparatus that has secured parts of American prosperity for generations. And the way in which this is going to come undone, and the way in which it is going to be both messy, ugly, and probably very, very bad, even for the average American, I don't think they've even wrapped their head around. I mean, for example, just in terms of closing the Strait of Hormuz, the oil reserves that are already in motion to get to the country are basically the last versions of those arrive April 15th. If you think your prices at the pump are high now, just wait. And to say nothing, by the way, of the role that MMA played, specifically in the podcast circuit, so the MMA adjacent world, that Rogan sphere, and returning Trump to power is kind of also an important point that should not be lost on other people. But like, I just want to be clear, I'm 46 years old. I've never seen the world through American power as destabilized as I do now. It is very obvious that our trading partners and our friends to the north can no longer trust us. It is obvious that our friends and trading partners in Europe can no longer trust us. We made a bet with the GCC countries that they could do loose tax laws, and they could have this kind of, no street crime society, but we had to provide security for them. We cannot. And I want to say something else. This is very important. I watched 9/11 happen in my dorm room my senior year in college. And if there is one thing that I learned as a result of all of that, is that when you have incompetent people in positions of power, it's not just that they make bad decisions that don't yield fruitful results. It is that they are dangers to the world. They are dangers to society. They are dangers and threats to everybody else. We are surrounded with leadership that is grossly incompetent, way in over their heads, simply unable to understand the enemy that they have in Iran, unable to plan ahead because they don't understand their actions. They don't understand, by the way, with this whole immigration satanic panic, which is what I call it. I'm the husband and the child of an immigrant. Like none of that is based in the reality and the truth about immigration. They are Don Quixote attacking windmills, the phony problems that don't even exist, meanwhile exacerbating the kinds of existing problems or creating new ones because they simply do not know what they are doing. I don't have any great or encouraging words for your audience other than buckle up because the ride is only just beginning.
Speaking of danger, talk about danger in the heavyweight division. Alex Pereira moving up for just completely crazy 3-time belt champion in 3 different weight classes.
What did you just say?
Woof.
What did you just say?
Tap out.
What did you just say?
I mean, I would love for Luke to answer the question.
I think it's interesting. What he's talking about is the co-main event of this White House card. And as I mentioned, there's some griping about the card, but the main and the co-main have some real value. In particular to me, the fight he's talking about is the best one on that card. So what they've got is this guy named Alex Pereira, okay? He was a very, very, very accomplished kickboxer who kind of came to MMA late. And if you know the history of MMA, kickboxers have sometimes done really well, but in general, the wrestlers tend to do better. And he started out at middleweight, had this insane rivalry with Israel Adesanya, who was, on again, off again champ at that time. Then he moves up to 205 pounds, becomes a multi-time champ there. And now he dropped that belt to go up to heavyweight to do something that literally no one in the history of the UFC has ever done, which is claim a title in a 3rd weight class. It's literally never been done, in large part because you can't even get the opportunity to do it. Now, the only catch here is it's for an interim title. It doesn't actually confer full status. That is currently owned by Tom Aspinall, who has been out with an eye injury for some time. Nevertheless, it would represent a historical achievement within the sport. And I would say this, Alex Pereira is the guy who headlined UFC 300. He's been like the MVP of this company, him and Ilya Topuria, but more so Poatan. And just terms of like delivering big action on big stages, high stakes, he's the guy of basically the last few years, even maybe longer than that. And so real history on the line at UFC White House. This is what I mean. It's both one of these kinds of events as well as something else.
I don't know your history, how you ended up in the Marines. When you were in your dorm room, had you already decided to become a Marine?
Yeah. So the way that worked was I actually I joined when I was 17, still in high school. And the way it worked was I graduated high school on a Friday, and then I went to boot camp on a Monday. And I missed the first week of college because I went to William & Mary at that time. And because the Marine Corps boot camp is 13 weeks. And I went to an artillery unit. Truly, I say this, Dan, with total, I don't know how else to say this. There's been a few things in my life that were really unlucky, but there's been a couple of things in my life that were insanely lucky. And what I mean is the unit that I went to was Hotel Battery 314, 4th Marine Division. This was just south of Richmond, Virginia. And the reason why this is relevant is because it was an artillery unit. Well, artillery at that time, we're talking late 90s, early 2000s, was being in the Marine Corps somewhat phased out. Now, they changed a little bit of this when ISIS came back to power because they had to shell them. But the point I'm trying to make is when 9/11 happened and then we invaded Afghanistan and then ultimately Iraq, they didn't have use for us. They had very little artillery that they needed because they were going, house to house, quite literally. And whatever artillery needs that they had could be met by the Army. And so what ended up happening was I get out a few months later, 2004, I get out a few months later, my unit gets converted to a rifle company, and then they get sent to Fallujah to go do prisoner transport, which of course means they got shot every single time they left the base. I got to skip all of it by virtue of just how the Marine Corps was constructed, my MOS, the whole 9 yards. I consider not having to die for Dick Cheney and George Bush or be mentally affected by whatever you want to say, one of the truly great blessings of my life.
Luke, you do a great job. Thank you for the time. Hope you're on with us again, sir.
Anytime, Dan.
Now, Tony, you had such a good joke there to end a really.
I talk to Luke on a semi-regular basis about MMA.
Tony, I need you to back off a little bit.
So let's get the coaching.
I need you to just back off. I understand that you want to be defensive about this. Mike has been trying to hold you. And while Luke was giving me his history in the Marines, I heard you say in my ear just the single F word expletive. And I assume it's because Chris had replayed for you in there the sound of you trying to say whatever you were trying to say about Pereira to Luke Thomas. So before we play the sound, can you tell me now what you were trying to say?
He got what I was trying to say. And what
I'm
I was trying
asking
to say
you.
was.
I'm asking
what
you.
I was trying to say, what I was trying to say was, Alex is going for a historic thing, which is winning a championship in 3 different weight classes, right? So that's what I was trying to ask him. What does that historically mean for?
Dan's point. He doesn't like it.
Let's hear what you actually ended up saying.
For just completely crazy 3-time belt champion in 3 different weight classes.
What
do
did you just say?
Zaz.
Look, that's good tape and bad tape. Because the joke, the timing, you slide
The
in.
joke wasn't even in
it's
there.
Perfect.
The joke was
I
right in
know,
the beginning.
I know. You slide in. You want to talk about danger, and then that's a great setup. Just get right to it. But then you said too many words.
The issue is that the 3-time
Tony, shut up for a second. Play it again, Chris.
For just completely crazy 3-time belt champion in 3 different weight classes.
What did you just say?
It's an unfair edit.
What do you mean?
That I agree with.
You cut out the good part.
It's a great joke. I wanted to say, speaking of immigrants, Alex Pereira. I went with danger instead.
Yeah, you should have said that too.
Which is why I got tripped up when I was asking the question. I was like, which one am I going to go with? And then I saw Dan staring at me, and I was like, all right, I have 6 seconds to say a 13-second question. 3-time belt champion.
This is an opportunity to get better. That's what I like about it.
You know about that completely crazy 3-time belt champ?
I don't even want to hear from you. You say that 6 times a week. What are you on about?
They should give him. They should give him. If he wins, they should give him that completely crazy 3-time belt champion belt.
Crazy 3-time belt champion in.
Miss me yet?
It's such a pathetic voice.
This is bad. Jeremy's dunking on us.
All he does is write on his little whiteboard over there.
He's been funny today on the board.
He's funny when he doesn't talk.
But I don't think he's ever made a mistake as large as
Oh,
this
please.
one.
He has a 27-minute question.
Did
Completely
you understand
crazy
it?
3-time belt champion.
Zazdal, what are your thoughts there in general as you delight more than most in Tony's failings?
I'm embarrassed for you, man. Luke Thomas, you think
I talk to him, a couple times a year.
Semi-regularly.
You're a sucker now.
Because they ran the ball better than anybody and barely passed. They were as exciting as ever and broke NFL records with Dan Marino because they passed the ball like nobody else, but they didn't have a great running game. Right. Now they're doing both. They can run the ball like crazy. They lead the league in rushing. Raheem Mostert has 11 touchdowns in 6 games. And Tua is everything they thought he would be when they drafted him number 5 ahead of Herbert. Tua is the favorite in the MVP odds right now. Should be. With great reason. Yep. And I just think this is the most dynamic, well-balanced, inventive, exciting offense I've ever had.
Can we end the debate between Herbert and Tua?
Yes.
Is it officially
Yes.
over?
Wow.
Yes.
Someone's making a noise. Where's the noise coming from? Nah, Tony's not ready.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can we see Justin Herbert without Brandon Staley? At that point, maybe with a better coach, I'd be intrigued.
We're going to ask that question about Justin Herbert for his whole career, right?
Yes.
We're just going to keep asking, like, oh, but what if he was with a better coach?
Oh, always.
He has the most unbelievable weapons, too.
Just like now, C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are always going to be compared throughout their career.
But Herbert's been in the league, 4 years? And if Staley gets fired and he gets a new coach, it will be his 3rd coach in 5 years.
No, it's a shame for him. He's a really great quarterback, but I guess it's the way that we're constantly doing these comparisons between the two of them when one of them is not only winning, but breaking all of these records statistically and having a spectacular season. Obviously, like, the system has something to do with that. It would be crazy to say that it's not Mike McDaniel in some capacity, but also different quarterbacks fit in different systems, different ways, and Justin Herbert has his flaws that maybe wouldn't work if he was just in the system. I think there's so many people saying, oh, well, if Herbert was in Tua's spot, it would be even better. I have no reason to believe that's the case.
I have something that's probably not popular, especially down here in Miami.
Oh, boy.
Dolphins offense have ruined football for me. Like, I can't watch a football game that's not the Dolphins.
It's done
now.
the exact opposite for me.
I just
It's
can't.
made football amazing.
Like, I'm watching. No, it's great, but I'm saying it's ruined the rest of football for me. Like, I can't watch just a single game that's not the Dolphins. Like,
I
if
understand.
I tune in, it's the third quarter. It's like, I don't know, 14-9 or something. I can't watch it. I'm
The
like, this is
Patriots
boring.
option doesn't do it.
Well,
for
I'm
you?
like, why can't you guys just score? I don't understand. Like, why does it take you so long to score? Why can't you just score in 3 plays in 45 seconds? Like, what's going on
They
here?
spoiled you. I mean,
This doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Is that what Iowa's like? I can't imagine watching Iowa football.
No, we don't score that much.
That's crazy. Why
Billy,
not?
they won a game 15-6 over the weekend.
But why don't you just try having everyone
Yeah.
go in motion
You
and
guys should score
throwing the
more.
ball? Yeah, why don't you just score more? Just get all the fast players in
Get
the
those
country.
tight ends running early.
Yeah, why can't you just do that? I don't get it.
There have
Me
been
neither.
so many seasons in the past, so many Dolphin seasons in the past, where if they're behind 14-0 in the first quarter,
right,
the crowd is leaving. Everybody's giving up.
The game is over.
The game is over.
Tua was
Correct.
laughing on
Yes.
the sideline after they scored the second touchdown, and I'm like, whoa.
Right.
Because I thought they were going to come back, but I'm like, I don't know.
That's
We're just-
supreme confidence.
He
You
was
know what?
smiling after the second touchdown on the sideline.
When they were behind 14-0, they were still, you know how the odds update now? Christopher pointed this out to me. I didn't know it. When they're down 14-0, they're still a minus 200 favorite to win the game. There was no doubt. And it wasn't just because Carolina sucks, which it does.
Right.
It's because the Dolphins' offense is, until somebody proves otherwise, almost unstoppable.
And like 5 years ago, we were watching Jay Cutler throw passes to Devontae Parker.
Right.
Like that was supposed to be the height of excitement of the
Yes.
Dolphins offense since Dan Marino.
Yeah, amazing.
And now it's this.
So this is the best offense. That's saying a lot considering Marino, Clayton, Duper, and that offense.
And here's some Shakespeare, as
All right.
done by the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. We've stolen the exclamation point officially from Get Up. It's put after the word show.
So this is Act 1, Scene 2 of Macbeth. The stage instructions are: a camp near Fours. Alarum within. Enter Duncan, Malcolm, Donalbain, Lennox with attendants, meeting a bleeding sergeant.
I don't even know what that means.
Jessica, you have played the role.
All right, so wait, can we set the scene? Thank you, Mike. Can we set the scene, Mike, from high school? Can you give Chris Cody his motivation on, because he didn't even understand what Whittingham.
Am I happy?
Like what?
Am I like,
Sergeant is
distressed?
bleeding.
Okay.
In what
You're
condition does the distressed? Okay, very good. Good confidence there. Let's have the music that we need, Shakespearean music, and let's see if we can find our note here.
Against the spread. Against the spread.
Against the Spread is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Roy, what do we got?
All right, we got Blackhawks at Sharks tonight. Big game for the Sharks. 6 straight losses after a road win for the Blackhawks. And in this matchup between the Blackhawks and Sharks, the home team has covered the puck line in 6 straight games. So go with the Sharks. They need this one. They are the favorites at 1.5 goals against the spread.
Tony.
Going with the national championship tonight, Michigan versus UConn. The Wolverines are getting minus 6.5. I'm getting them on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Tony, Jesus, get your shit together today, please. Like, the microphone's right in front of you.
Minus 6.5. I'm going to take Michigan against the spread against UConn, who's, getting to the last of their
Take a deep breath. Compose your thoughts.
destiny run. Ends tonight.
My boy is rattled.
Maybe water.
I can't get a word out.
Go for
Everybody wants to jump down my throat.
Don't be a cuck. Can't even get throat out.
You know I'm not a cuck.
That's his gimmick.
Michigan minus 6.5 against the spread.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you.
No, you don't. No, you don't, by the way. No, you don't.
Not today.
You do not appreciate it.
Get some fresh air.
Appreciate you trying to power through. I didn't say I was going to appreciate you in general. I appreciate that you've tried to power through when clearly you're falling apart. I want to show the video audience something that the audio audience will understand, because the swallowing of tobacco is something that is very unpleasant. I have told you guys the story before here of the one and only time that I had chewing tobacco. I was bothering my father. My father had a bad habit of, he just walked through a grocery store and he would just grab things off the shelf, and if he wanted to open them, he would open them, and it was rude and criminal.
Bad habit? Is that just stealing?
I mean,
if he pays for it, it's not criminal.
Well, no, sometimes he would, sometimes he wouldn't. But one of the things that that I was bothering him about for years, because he coached me in Little League Baseball. Why are you rubbing your hands together, Roy?
I'm waiting for the joke at the end. The punchline's coming up.
Well, okay, the punchline is coming up, but this is a real story, and it's a true story, and it's the one and only time that I had chewing tobacco. I don't remember why, but it had to be because Major League Baseball players had huge chaws of tobacco in their mouth. I was bothering my father for a long time about wanting to chew tobacco. And finally, he gets fed up after years, and while we're walking through a Winn-Dixie, he grabs off the shelf a pouch of tobacco and takes a little bit out of it and sticks it in my mouth, but doesn't explain to me that I can't swallow any of this. Like, doesn't explain to me how it is to do it, and then just takes the packet and puts it back in the shelf, not just committing a crime, but also guilty of terrible parenting. But he was just fed up that I was bothering him, so you can imagine how weird it was for him, because I was 46 years old.
Yeah!
So here is video of Craig Counsell chewing tobacco poorly.
And we've all been here. He's in the dugout, and he just gets that gagging, the gagging look.
Embarrassing.
Well, you can see the sickness on his face is afterward. Like, you can see that the nausea hits him fairly immediately.
Did he look worse than Tony sounded?
I don't think it's possible for
He
anyone,
tried the quick grab, like,
for anyone to look worse than Tony sounded. Let's update our tournament here. We finally got our finalists. UConn is back in it. Can you guys look something up for me? When's the last time? It hasn't happened this century, right? That a team has played in 3 championships in 4 years in college basketball, in men's college basketball. That's I think that maybe Kentucky did that last century, like in the 1900s. Not I think. I'm not. It's a fairly amazing achievement that Dan Hurley is back in this game again with this team.
It's just John Wooden territory.
I mean, three of 4 years. I think Kentucky did it in the late 1900s, but I don't think it's happened this century. And so
you're the late 1900s is the 90s. You're going to go with late 1900s?
Yes. Yes, that's what I was doing. Late 1900s sounds like it's longer ago.
You could have just said the 90s.
Yes, I know, but I wanted to make it sound like Adolph Rupp and them boys. I wanted to make it sound like it was in the black and white days when the
could have gone 90s or 20th century, but you went late 1900s.
Yes, I did.
All right.
Yes, that is what I did. That row shouldn't be critiquing anything I'm saying.
No,
so
I'm not
far
critiquing.
today.
I'm just asking.
So our tournament, Illinois is gone. UConn dragged them pretty good. They were trailing throughout the game. That means that this is now gone from our looks like tournament.
Tony Reale looks like the overzealous owner of an Italian restaurant who always greets you at the door with my favorite couple when you walk in.
UConn, if you do not remember, was from the loaded Adam Silver conference. So this plays for the title tonight.
Adam Silver looks like a newly opened chapstick.
Arizona, can you look up something else for me? Because I believe that Arizona is at taking threes. I'm stunned that Arizona made it as far as Arizona did with that style of play because, Zaz, I don't know if you were watching them very much this year, but they took the third fewest threes in the sport. You have to be extraordinarily strong, physically strong, and athletic to play in today's basketball when there are 340 some odd teams, and you take the third fewest threes of anyone playing Division I college basketball. Jeremy, can you look up for me, please, what the other two teams were that shot fewer threes than Arizona? Because I'm sure they're nowhere nothing programs. For Arizona to not shoot any threes is a weird place and way to play today. That means this is now gone from our tournament.
Jonathan Zaslow looks like an off-duty mime.
And Michigan is favored to win, favored by 6.5 tonight. That means that this is favored to win our tournament.
Michael Smith looks like the high school teacher that motivates his students by sitting in a chair backwards.
It's a warranted 7.5-point favorite, Michael Smith, over that.
So it's not gone up to 7.5?
Oh, is it down?
6.5.
Yeah, it's down a little bit.
Getting minus 6.5.
We have said several times now that it was minus 6.5, and you decided to make it getting 7.5. That's what you decided to do with your microphone time.
I mean, it was 7.5 yesterday. What do you want from me? It's gone down a little bit.
Tough for Jeremy to be the best in the room when he's not speaking.
What did I screw up there? What did I say?
I think Zaz accused you of saying that Michigan was getting 7.5.
No, he knows who I was talking about.
Yeah, that's what he was. Yeah.
Don't point back at me.
I was going to say.
Don't look at me, you off-duty mime.
Damn.
The story in professional basketball that got more attention than I was expecting this weekend, but I guess when it's LeBron James, everything around him gets a great deal of attention. So he just said matter-of-factly, as the oldest player in the league who has stopped caring about how some things are received, so he lets it fly a little bit more than people in his position usually do. He just basically said, let's move the team from Memphis with no appreciation for the basketball tradition and the love of that team that there is in Memphis, and just said, let's move it to Nashville. Let's get the Grizzlies out of Memphis and move them to Nashville. So the first thing I'd like to do is play the sound, the original sound that now has Rich Paul and LeBron James doing some backtracking so that we have the full context of what the backtracking is, because I don't want to change some of the facts here on what the controversy is with a confusion afterward as we try to fix things, because one of the things that's happened that I'm sure that LeBron had not accounted for when he was this flippant with this opinion is a whole lot of black people are looking at him and saying, LeBron, like, how do you not understand how black Memphis is and that Nashville is less black than Memphis? And what you've just done here is just moved a team that has an allegiance and a tradition in its community to a place that is more whitewashed than Memphis. And so here's the original sound from LeBron.
Fucking hired at 41 years old. You think I want to do that shit? Being in Memphis on a random ass Thursday. I'm not like the first guy to even talk about it in the NBA. Like, we all like, you guys have to move. Just go over to Nashville. You got Vanderbilt over there. You got the NASCAR. You got a stadium. Don't they got a hockey team too?
Yeah, Predators.
Predators, yeah. Like, they got everything.
Doesn't look like LeBron's going to be on the Grizzlies anytime soon, so Grizzly fans out there.
Yeah, they know. Their only chance was in 2003 if they would have won the lottery to get me there. And I might have pulled a Eli Manning and not showed up.
That's a guy who left Cleveland and went to the big cities of Miami and LA and now has no time for some of these outpost places in the NBA. I wonder what he has to say about Oklahoma City and having to go there on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
They can do something about it.
So, Zaz, what are your thoughts about that sound before we get to the backtracking?
I think it comes off incredibly pretentious, you know. From a fan perspective, me being a fan, thank God this has never happened to me here as a Miami sports fan, but losing your team is obviously the worst thing that could ever happen to a sports fan. And for LeBron to get out there and to try and stump for the city of Memphis for Memphis fans to lose their team. By the way, it's not like Nashville is a 15-minute drive. It's several hours away from Memphis. It is not the same market. So to call for a team to lose, a city to lose their team because billionaire LeBron doesn't want to stay in a Hyatt. By the way, I don't think, what's wrong with a Hyatt? But because LeBron doesn't want to stay in a Hyatt on a Thursday night, that's his rationale that the team should move out of Memphis. He looks awful saying that. I'm sorry.
Now, it should be noted this is a thing amongst NBA players. LeBron mentions that a little bit. I think your issue is not just what he's saying. I'm actually enjoying the rare bit of honesty from LeBron, because a lot of the stuff that's said about LeBron is, he's a phony.
Well, he is.
He's a faker. And I guess he's given people the opportunity to say that because he's kind of backtracking a little bit. But in that moment, he's incredibly honest. I kind of like that side of LeBron.
Oh, he's allowed to say that the team should move out of Memphis, and I'm allowed to say he's a dick for wanting a team to move away from the city and a fan base. Like, it's a lousy thing to say. Can you imagine Patrick Mahomes coming out and saying, Buffalo, boy, the weather, nothing to do there, Bill should move? Like, it's the face of the league. It's the most powerful athlete in our country. Forget about other players are saying the same thing. They're not LeBron. LeBron is saying they should lose their team.
This is only the story that it is because of who's saying it. There's no second place here. Like, Steph could say it, other people could say it, but nobody makes it this story the way that LeBron makes it this particular story. I have not heard the backtrack, so play for me what it is that Mike is saying here, which is he is now trying to dilute it a little bit.
How people have taken those comments.
What do you mean, taking?
People have been upset about the fact that Memphis was looked at as a team that, a lot of black people in Memphis, right, compared to like Nashville, for example. So people
Did I say I don't like black people?
No, I didn't say that. But there were people who were wondering why Memphis was targeted. Like
Milwaukee was too. Did they miss that one too? They didn't see that?
Not as much commentary.
Oh, yeah, okay. I said Milwaukee as well. Yeah. 41 years old. There's two cities I do not like playing in right now. And that's Milwaukee and that's Memphis. What is the problem? I don't like going home either. Shit, and I'm from there. What is people are ridiculous.
Just took a shot at Cleveland, too.
A little shot at Cleveland at the end there.
So, first of all, there's zero self-awareness, apparently, why black people would be upset with what he said there.
The optics of
no
him,
self-awareness.
The optics of him talking about Memphis while playing golf, with making a bunch of white guys laugh.
And let's name all the white things that Nashville has. Hockey, F1.
NASCAR.
He mentions Vanderbilt. Okay, so there's no self-awareness about why black people, and I'm not going to speak for black people,
Well, the
but why they
Vanderbilt
might
on
be
his
upset.
team is black, though. The Vanderbilt that he's got on his team is a black guy.
Let Zazo speak for black people.
And then... And then
go on, Zess.
No, I already said I'm not going to speak for black people. All right, but then you get the whole I don't like the city of Milwaukee either. I don't like going back to Cleveland. He didn't say move the Bucks. He didn't say move the Cavaliers. Like, he doesn't address at all. He's allowed to not like Memphis. He didn't ask for any of these other cities to lose their basketball teams. So it's like he's out there gaslighting everybody about what they're upset about.
Draymond Green and Anthony Edwards have also ripped Memphis hotels as being dirty and some of the worst in the NBA, but they didn't use that to say they should lose their team because I'm sleeping in dirty hotels. I do think that this is just big city privilege. At this age, this superstar doesn't want to be visiting any of these smaller cities.
The infrastructure of Memphis is not great if you're an NBA player. Like, I've talked to multiple NBA players that have said the same thing.
All right, he spends one night there, makes $50 million a season to play basketball. Wow, I got to stay in a Hyatt. I mean, come on.
Let's listen to Rich Paul. Rich Paul is doing this podcast with Max Kellerman, and I look forward to seeing how Max creatively gets around the fact that Rich Paul can't say certain things anymore because he's been burned a couple of times. Let's listen to what Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, has to say about this.
Again,
there's people in Memphis that don't want to be in Memphis.
Yeah. There are people in New York who don't want to be in New York.
And guess where else LeBron don't want to be? Akron.
Right.
He's from there.
Yeah.
You don't want to be there. He just outgrew it, which is fine.
Right.
Again, Not even come close to addressing what people are upset about.
You have, though, speaking on behalf of black
I don't
people.
know
You are.
You did do that. I heard you do it.
You're a race war expert, as
Well,
we have said before around
It's not
here.
cool. It's just not cool to lose their team because I don't want to sleep on Hyatt.
Cooper Flagg over the weekend had 50 points as a 19-year-old. And while I want to enjoy the things that are amazing that happen in sports, I also do want to ask you guys, because basketball has very few numbers that matter. And 50 used to be one of them. Is it still?
No.
It doesn't matter anymore?
60 to the new 50.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. In basketball, is 60 the new 50? And also, give me the other numbers in basketball that matter, please. Because if you're going to take that one, I don't know how many more we have. The numbers in sports are something that people, I'm going to say, are crunching more than ever. Wouldn't you say there's more numbers crunching going on with fantasy leagues, measurements, arithmetic than you've ever seen happen in sports? And basketball, if you take away that number, what's left? What number is left? Because I am poo-pooing the performance when I shouldn't be. 19 years old scoring 50 is crazy.
Not only that, he had 45 after that. He scored 96 points in a matter of 2 games.
Well,
But Heat fans can rest easy knowing that instead of that, they got the worst beatdown in NBA playoff history.
That's not the way it works.
That's exactly how it works.
That's exactly how this one worked out.
We've been talking about that for
That's
2
not
or
how
3
it
years.
works. It doesn't mean because the Heat, if they would have missed
They would have
the
had the
playoffs-
same exact pick.
That was their pick.
That's not the way it works.
So you're saying it's collusion then? What are you saying?
That's how taking your chance in the lottery works. Sometimes you get lucky.
It wasn't the Heat's pick. It was the Mavericks' pick.
Okay, and what happened? Who should have been there?
The Mavericks.
The Heat.
The Mavericks.
The Heat.
Amin Al-Hassan is going to join us here to do his weekend observations in the next hour. And one of the corrections that he made of me correctly last week is when I said that the Untold series on Netflix is one of the last places where good sports documentaries are being made. And the correction that he made is not all of them are very good, and he's right, because many of them have traded being good. The University of Florida is the greatest example of this. That was a shitty documentary, and it was made only because they wanted to get access to Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow, and it probably did very well, even though it was a profoundly shitty documentary that whitewashed a whole bunch of stuff that you can't just gloss over if you're trying in any way to get somewhat close to the truth. But the one on Lamar Odom's really good. And I was not aware of just how dead Lamar Odom was. Like how many seizures he had, the coma, how many heart attacks that he had. And they get in there. And what Khloe Kardashian was dealing with, trying to take care of somebody who had descended into the worst kinds of drug addiction. But one of the things that Lamar Odom did just casually that made me laugh during the documentary, and I didn't think I was going to be laughing when he was talking about infant death syndrome and where it is that it took him. But he's like, no matter your God, whether it's Yahweh, Jehovah, Christ, or Kobe, and the way that he said it was not just charming, because he's got the kind of charm that the best drug addicts have, where you want to believe them, you hope to believe them, but they are such drug addicts in his case that they overdose with gluttony and excess in a way that is just vastly destructive. And I'm telling you guys that this is a documentary worth watching. I don't know if the Jailblazers one is worth watching. I do know that everybody was trying to get that documentary, and it ends up getting made for whatever the trades of access have to be made, so that you run the risk of telling a more diluted story. Do you guys like this as content? You're basketball fans. Do you the Jailblazers story is something that people have been wanting to tell for 20 years because of how close that team came to winning the championship. They almost knocked out Jehovah in the conference. Those were the conference finals, right? Where the Lakers on the road were down double digits at a time that meant something, being down double digits. And that team could have won the championship, even though it was as publicly flawed a team as any that has ever existed in basketball, and would have been a deeply unlikable champion because of everything around them. But I am interested in hearing and seeing how bad their behavior actually was, or whether it was just weed and technical fouls that got represented in a different time as that team's out of control. They're smoking so much weed and Rashid can't stop getting technicals. Like, were they out of control? I know that Portland had a problem with them, but I don't actually know. I don't remember if I was colored by the time and missed some things because I had blind spots about how that team was covered, because there was the occasional arrest, but it may have been just because they were black dudes and there was weed and technicals.
Yeah, I remember it being a real conflict with the city. You know, it's one thing to have a team that there's this perception of behavior, drugs, that kind of deal. Usually in a big city, you're not going to really get the fan base to care so much. But from what I remember, like, the city of Portland didn't exactly agree with the team that was representing them.
I think what's cool about this conversation is that we have two different generations, right? Like, Zaz remembered it vividly, watching these guys, understanding, hey, like, something is not right with this team. They're just, like, crazy and out of control, whatever. And, like, at 2000's Western Conference Finals, I would have been 9 years old. So I'm watching this as, like, oh, Kobe, Shaq. But then these guys, like, who are these guys? What are they doing? Like, what's the deal? And then my dad was like, oh, they call them Jailblazers. I was like, what? But it says Trailblazers on the thing. So it's like watching them and getting to relive and maybe look back with the sensibilities of now towards the past, and maybe look and be like, hey, weren't that bad?
Even back then, there was a generational difference in how it is that team was absorbed, even in Portland. Like, that was a rebellious team, and young people love, man, basketball has done so much with the young rebel who's coming up, whether it's Allen Iverson or someone else that is anti-authority. I don't remember Bonzi Wells being a bad dude, but I remember him having the reputation of being a really bad dude. And that's not my experience whenever I've interacted with him, but it was public perception. Do you guys have interest in this Lamar Odom story? Because just the Khloe Kardashian part of it is fascinating. The choices that he made there because he wanted to be somebody in ways that are, vanaglorious and empty.
I'm not sure that I have interest in the Lamar Odom one, because I think it's going to make me, rightfully so, see Lamar Odom in a much different light than I want to remember him.
You will not be surprised that he tried cocaine for the first time in Miami.
Like I have really fond memories of the 1 year, believe it or not, just 1 year, but it was highly impactful for a Heat fan. The 1 year that Lamar Odom spent here in Miami in 2004, and like I have really good memories of Lamar Odom. I obviously know from afar the things that he did and went through, and I feel like it's going to make me sad.
That's one of the reasons that Mike Ryan expects so much from this Heat team. You get Lamar Odom, you polish him up, and you get Shaquille O'Neal in exchange for Lamar Odom. That seems like a million years ago, the aggressive doing of that. They went 42-40 that season. Miami fell in love with that team.
What a team.
Yeah.
What a team.
42
back when
and
Pat
40.
Riley wasn't afraid to make a deal that hurt a little bit.
And they traded for Shaquille O'Neal. But I am telling everybody listening to this, Untold has been hit or miss. I don't know if you guys have been following this series. It's a great idea.
I stopped following because of the misses. The Florida one was so egregious. There's no consistency with the filmmakers. So you'll have on one side of the spectrum Marty Fish's Untold, which was spectacular and honest. And then you realize that the whole premise can be manipulated depending on who's telling the story and who's behind making it. And that's what made me go out on the entire concept. Now, this seems having an honest subject is a big part of it.
The fact that they got Lamar Odom and Khloe Kardashian to talk about things. Okay, I'm just going to give you a handful of the details in here that are sort of rich. Lamar Odom is on his deathbed. He is dead. He's been dead for 3 days, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, someone who hasn't been in his life for a long time, his father just shows up seeing what's his, what do I get here? And eventually they have to just run him off because so many people are just showing up at the hospital. They give him a pair of sneakers and a place to stay for the night. But
So he showed up to see what he can get because his son was dying?
yeah, hadn't been in his life for a real long time, and then got bought from the storytelling in here for $100 pair of sneakers and a place to stay for the night, where just one of the details here that will take you inside of this. Like generally speaking, right? The reason these documentaries get diluted and become something that isn't the truth when you exchange it for access is because the people involved are ashamed of something and want to polish it for your perusal. This is not that. Like that you're getting the gory details. Whatever Lamar Odom wants to get from this, it's not because it's not embarrassing to him, and it's not because they're not covering the subject matter that you would be interested in.
If that's the case, then I'm into watching it. If it's a sanitized version of Lamar Odom's obviously publicly dirty life, then I don't really care about that. Like, I want to see the dirty stuff.
It's the dirty stuff, and it is the trade that not very
Dirty
many,
rotten?
Yeah, dirty and rotten. It's the dirtiest and the most rotten of the things that happen with drug addiction, which we've been talking about a lot lately regarding the Tiger Woods thing. The other thing, and I know you guys talked about this some on Friday, but I am just curious. Wherever it is you make your appraisals of human beings with defining acts, Tiger Woods has had a long, storied career, and he's got an awfully complicated life off of the course in terms of how people receive him. And as Mike Ryan pointed out last week, as he goes through this very human frailty, there are a whole lot of people who are rooting for him, who are trying to support him despite his demons. But I will tell you that I found it wildly off-putting to see a video of him with the police just saying, yeah, on the phone with the president. Like, just so unnecessary. And it reminded me of Stugotz telling the story of on the air very early in our days doing this, saying, I've got a dinner with Dan Marino. There's no other way of saying that. I'm like, you could have just said you had a dinner. And in this particular case, what was he trying to do?
He was trying to get away
Trying
with
to get
it.
out of it.
Yeah, he was trying to get out of it.
Really simple. Like,
and you can kind of tell from like the body cam also, like it may be reckless, but I made the point. A lot of people, especially in that area, huge Tiger fans, rooting for Tiger. And this was not one that he could get away with. I mean, Tiger Woods has the kind of charm that would lead me to believe, like, him being Tiger Woods has gotten out of him, sticky situation occasionally.
But that's not only not charming. When being Tiger Woods isn't good enough that you have to say to try and get away with it, that you're on the phone with the president.
That's what I'm saying.
He flipped a vehicle in a residential neighborhood. You can kind of tell, like, from the video, the cops are like, you can't get away with this.
But you're calling Donald Trump in order in that moment to tell the police to not arrest you?
Yes. If you're desperate,
Danny's
and
high.
you have direct access.
But how is that?
Remember, he is dating a Trump.
Yeah, he's
like I can
dating
see in a
former-
sticky spot where I call my father-in-law. I'm just saying, like,
he's dating
it's not
Donald Trump's former daughter-in-law. I'm not surprised. In fact, when this first broke, I was like, I'm surprised Tiger didn't do that. I was actually giving him credit for avoiding that.
And then you're like, damn it.
And then, like, it was like the first thing he did.
Let's watch this.
Say again? Just keep you down here with us, please. Yeah, I was just talking to the president.
that hand flip is the most egregious thing to me. Of just this, like, I'm just no big deal here.
I was talking to the president, but you can't hand the phone over to the police officer? Like, what
He'd already finished talking.
He doesn't even want his phone. He's just like, because apparently at the start of this video, he's way down there. It's just like, hey, you got to be down here near us.
that is ugly in a way that Chris is saying it's just the hand gesture, that the hand gesture is dismissive. But you do realize that Tiger Woods and LeBron James, these people live in a galaxy that's unlike any of the galaxies. I mean, we do know this, unlike the galaxies that we live in, so that being in Memphis on a Thursday is something that you do not wish to do with your stardom. And having to deal with police officers applying rules to you and your reckless life is not something that you wish to deal with when making a call to the President of the United States. That makes me think, that what he was trying to do there, he's trying to show me something, and I'm having the opposite feeling on whatever it is that he thinks he was trying to accomplish there. It's the exact opposite. Mike, when are you and Tony leaving for Talladega? What are the details of this trip? Are you going to be in an RV? And what do you think is going to happen with Tony in Talladega?
So last year I went to Talladega for the first time. It was one of the greatest sporting things I've ever done. And this year Cuervo is sending me and Tony along with my friends, and we've added to the crew, Dan. Of course, you know, you have NASCAR Nate that's going, College Mike is going, Eagle Eye is going, and of course, the Watermelon Man is going to be there as well. Tony is now joining this illustrious crew. We've gotten a big RV. I just got a text.
A beautiful one, by the way.
It's a Rambler.
You showed me the video. It looks incredible. Talk about a Rambler.
Palatial. And DK's hooking it up. I just got final word. It looks like we got a slip on the back stretch. And now all we need is the Cuervo to have ourselves an incredible time. And I am so ready for Tony, who does not like NASCAR one bit. He's not a NASCAR guy.
Not a NASCAR guy as of yet.
It's not part of his sports repertoire. But I cannot wait to introduce Tony, a very Miami dude with no real sense of what's going on with the left turns, into Talladega. That's swimming in the deep end, folks.
Talladega Tony, I'm ready. We're going to go and dominate, Dan.
Are you guys all staying in the RV?
Yeah. It's going to be Eagle Eye.
How many does it? It's
going to be Eagle Eye, NASCAR Nate, College Mike, 10-Day Tony, myself, and the Watermelon Man.
Roy, you're laughing at me for using cabin as a verb there, but an RV houses? What is it? Sleeps? An RV
stay there.
The Rambler. Everybody's got a bed, including the Watermelon Man.
Some cots. No, cots. God, no.
Cots.
How many does the RV sleep? I want to hear more about the RV.
A dozen.
It could sleep up to 9. We don't have that, as you know.
And that includes?
Myself, 10-Day Tony,
NASCAR
Eagle Eye,
Nate,
College Mike, NASCAR Nate, and the Watermelon Man.
Can I come?
Which parts are you looking forward to?
Talladega Boulevard, Dan. It's a special party. I once went to Talladega Boulevard. Well, I've only gone once, and I tried to pay with cash, and they said we don't do that around here. I'm like, what? Como, what? No, we're not allowed to actually charge you. You just pay whatever you want. It's kind of like a barter system. What? There's like 7 live music stages that are all built that week. There was an open air gentleman's club. There's a sports bar in which you pay them $50 and you get NHL playoff hockey on. It is the best party in NASCAR, and I cannot wait to go with Eagle Eye, NASCAR Nate.
Who else?
College Mike, 10-Day Tony,
and?
the Watermelon Man.
Tony, you learned the song yet?
Talladega.
There you go.
You're going to hear that 35 times a day.
Well, it's all in the infield, right?
That's where the party is.
The infield.
The
We're in the
infield
infield,
at
right?
Talladega, people have no idea. Like, you can fit like 17 Magic Kingdoms inside the infield at Talladega.
There's no way. You're lying
No,
to me.
it's huge.
Including?
You're going to see. When we walk around and we take the walk from the RV, it's going to be you. It's going to be NASCAR Nate.
Who else?
It's
You.
going to be Eagle Eye. It's going to be me. It's going to be College Mike. And leading the charge is going to be the Watermelon Man.
I'd like to go back for a second because I don't believe that we or the country at large is talking enough about either Joe Adele or the minor league center fielder who had a home run go off of his forehead. I will again point out the impossible to improbable physics of having a ball at an angle hit you on the forehead. I'm going to say this again, okay? Just without the audio audience being able to see the video, I'm going to say, do you think it's possible for a human being who is 20 feet from the warning track to have a fly ball hit his forehead at an angle that makes it go over the center field fence? Could you guys, if I had said to you, all of you, without showing you this video, do you believe it is possible that I can ever, in the history of baseball or video, show you a video that hits a center fielder on the forehead 10 to 20 feet from the warning track and goes over the fence? Would you have said, yes, it's possible that you have a real video that is not AI doctored?
Why didn't you just catch it?
It's amazing. There's so many parts of this video. One, how high the fence is.
It's a 15-foot fence.
That might be the craziest part about this is how high the fence is.
Because people just listening to this are thinking of like the Fenway Park.
Like a Little
the
League
little
fence.
wall.
Right.
It's closer to being the Green Monster
It
than
is
it is the other
closer
side.
to the Green Monster than it is a small wall. And another thing we're not talking about is how much pain the center fielder is in. Because I feel like the Canseco one, he doesn't even feel it. No big deal. This guy holds his head, is in extreme pain, and no one's checking in on him. Is he okay?
Do me a favor, Chris. Tell the guest bookers right now to get me that center fielder.
Look at him.
Okay?
He's in real pain.
Tell the guest bookers right now, I want to see that welt.